Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's adventure, we are out in a very elevated and exposed location, out on this rock again near the ocean. And as you guys can see, I've got the tent set up. I've got it anchored out using all of these rocks around the area, basically the same way I did in the last video. This is a full exoskeleton tent, so it makes it very easy to pitch in windy conditions like this. And I think it's going to perform very well as it has in the past. I've got a very warm sleeping bag, very warm sleeping pad inside the tent, so I'm going to be totally warm. The reason why I chose to come up here in such a very exposed and windy location is there's no clouds. It's supposed to dip much below zero tonight, probably about -2, -3 in this area, right on the edge of the ocean, which means cold, bitter night, and hopefully a starry sky. Really hoping for that. So right now I've got all my stuff tucked in this side. I'm gonna get my Trangia set up and start on a hot coffee. All right, guys, I've got my cup of hot coffee, or somewhat warm coffee right now. We came over to this location right here on this cliff edge, overlooking this valley behind me. Right where the camera is actually where I was going to set the tent. I did not put it there for two reasons. One, it's extremely windy, like a wind tunnel, and two, the ground is full of shrubbery that would catch on fire if I tried to light the Trangia. So ultimately I had to go back probably about 100, 200 feet off the edge of this cliff. I really wanted the scenery, but can't get it. I can certainly walk out here later on this evening, much like I am right now, and enjoy the scenery from up here once the sunset starts. But right now it is bitterly cold and probably time to get my gloves on. So this would have been a great spot. It's just too windy today. So I'm going to enjoy my coffee and then head back over to the tent. All right, guys, so just finished up with my coffee. While it's still horrendous lighting out there, and I mean the worst daylight to film in, horrible. Nothing beautiful about that light. So while that's happening out there and it is windy, gonna wait for that sunset to start, I might as well duck inside of the tent and talk a little bit about the gear that I brought, because I've got a feeling later on once that sunset starts I'm gonna be tied up with the camera. So what I brought with me, first of all, this tent is from 3FUL. This is the Tai Chi 2, and this is the 4-season inner. You guys will notice that the sides, this taffeta material comes all the way up. There is mesh at the very top as well on the back side, but the whole roof and the sides are all like a 4-season type material. So even though the tent is elevated and there's a lot of air coming in underneath of the rainfly today, it's not going to matter. Two reasons. One, it's a 4-season inner, so it's actually blocking the wind, and two, I've got a monstrous down sleeping bag with me today. So that's the tent. The sleeping bag is from Nemo. This is the Nemo Sonic, what is this? Negative 29 degrees Celsius. 850 or 800 fill power, goose down. This thing is monstrous. I know I'm sitting on it right now. It doesn't look that lofty. This is the foot box. It's bigger than my core. I used this last winter in about minus 15, minus 18. And I was laughing. Totally warm. So I brought that with me on this trip. I also brought with me my Thermarest NeoWear X Therm. This is the rectangular pad. Very, very warm. R value ASTM verified over 7. So these two pieces of items, just the sleeping bag and the sleeping pad, sleeping without a tent, out on ice, out in the snow, totally warm, minus 15, minus 18, no problem. So having the tent is simply a luxury. Realistically, I would have loved to camp up here without a tent, just underneath the stars, but it's so exposed and so windy, all of my gear would have been blown all over the place, and it would have made it a really big hassle, a really hard, difficult time to film, because everything will be blowing all over the place. So having the tent and being able to tuck in here like I am now is actually easier for me and my gear. I also have my camera bag in here that never really gets shown while I'm hiking because I hang it on the tripod to stabilize it. So I do have to carry this. This is about 20-25 pounds today. Lenses, drone, all that stuff in there. I carry that around my neck when I'm carrying the camera in my hand, hiking and moving and doing all that stuff. So that is a fair bit of weight. For cooking, I brought the Trangia stove. I'm just looking outside the tent right now. So I've got the Trangia stove, I've got my Fire Maple wooden cup, my Near Zero. I brought 2 Near Zero branded Nalgene bottles. I've got my Fjallraven Ked 52 backpack. That's about it for that gear. Clothing, I've been getting asked a ton about the clothing. So I'm wearing Columbia Newton Ridge boots. These are Race Revolution pants, or Revolution Race pants. These are excellent. They're kind of in the same price range as Fjallravens, and I do wear a mix of Fjallravens and Revolution Race pants just because they're extremely durable. The color schemes are really nice, and they're stretchy where they need to be. So that's really good. Jacket today, I'm actually wearing a Mountain Warehouse downfill jacket. This thing, bomb. Super, super warm. I'm actually really impressed because it's the first time I've worn it out in a cold temperature. And all I'm wearing underneath is my Patagonia hoodie and a long sleeve North Face shirt underneath. So I'm warm. I do not feel any wind coming through this at all. And this is like a mid-weight jacket, 600 fill goose down. Very nice. I brought the hoodie this time just because I need it for my pillow. Last time I brought a down jacket and a rain jacket, which worked for a pillow, but I ended up giving my down jacket and my pants to Boomer to put on the ground so he had a little bit of a bed. Tonight, I bet you he will be inside the sleeping bag with me because it's going to be too cold for him to just lay out by himself. So that's basically it for gear. I'm going to be cooking supper soon. The sun, I'm keeping track of that. The sun's going to dip behind this rock behind me, and we'll be in shade probably within an hour. Probably about 2 more hours after that, it'll be actual sunset. So hopefully we have a nice sunset. Just looking around here, the clouds are still kind of lingering. We got an open sky above, so it's gonna be chilly tonight, which is awesome. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the gear, get that out of the way because I'm gonna be very busy later on running the camera and cooking, and I'll probably forget. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Carry on with the day. All right, guys, so it's been a little bit, been hiding inside of the tent, and as you guys can probably tell, the sun has dipped behind the rock, and with it went the heat. So it is actually noticeably colder right now, and yeah, I'd like to eat. So I'm gonna cook up some hot food. I've got everything in my backpack right here. The bonus with the cold temperatures is I'm able to bring all kinds of good food, including perishables. So here I've got a whole bag of turkey, pepperonis, kielbasa, some turkey, all kinds of pre-cooked meat that I could just bring and not worry about it going bad. I also have pepperoni and cheese for later on this evening, and even a brew. So this is gonna be great. Don't have to worry about food going bad. So I'm gonna get everything situated and start cooking in this general area. I'll give Boomer his food. He's gonna have some of that meat as well. And just get some warmth inside of us before that sun totally dips, because it is going to get a lot colder. All right, guys, so it is getting a lot colder right now. My hands are starting to freeze up. I'm doing a lot of cooking, so my hands are kind of staying warm as I'm close to the Trangia. But I'll explain what I'm doing right now before it gets too dark, because we are losing light really quickly. I've got some big yakisoba noodles. I've got some miso soup mix. All the meat that I fried up with the red pepper and the onion, I've got it all inside the pot right now. Gonna bring that up to temp and have a nice yakisoba style kind of miso soup with a little bit of meat in there. I think it'll warm me up quite a bit. I do have a brew that I want to crack into and enjoy this beautiful sunset that's happening right now. Get all this food in me, get nice and warm. Boomer's probably gonna head inside the tent and get himself warm. I'll get his little booties on so we can go up on the sleeping pad, because he is getting a little bit cold, and without a campfire he's not going to last outside too much longer. So we'll get him tucked in inside the tent and get this food cooked up really quick, eat that, and then hopefully we'll have a night full of stars in the sky. Alright guys, this is at a full rolling boil right now. About as warm as that food is going to get before it gets burned. Whew. I am so hungry right now. I'm trying to tuck inside the tent just a little bit so the wind's off my back. Boomer is on the sleeping bag just behind me, soaking up some of the warmth from that. And I am going to soak up the warmth. Whew. Loving it. I love it when it's brisk and cold out like this. Hate the summer. This makes it so much worth it. More worth it, I should say. So let's try this. So like I said, I've got miso soup, a pack of instant miso soup in here. I've got kielbasa. I've got, I think it's turkey meat as well, I think. Red pepper, red bell pepper, yellow onion, and I think that's it. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Let's give a taste of this kielbasa while it's nice and hot. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. So I'm gonna enjoy this before it starts to cool off. The bonus with having food that is in water in cold temperatures when it's hot. This is hot, this is cold. It stays warm longer, so your food doesn't get cold, like my feet are right now. Oh, so good. So I'm gonna eat up and then hopefully enjoy some of the night stars. Alright guys, just finished up with supper. 2 thumbs up on that. I am absolutely stuffed. And if you guys will notice, right up to this side of the tent, you can see the first star up in the sky. That's actually a planet, but it is bright up in the sky right now. So the sky should be lighting up with stars in just a few moments. I'm going to get everything packed away inside the tent here. Get this light on so I can actually see. Get everything packed away. Anything that's light, I'm going to pack inside my backpack so it doesn't blow away. Anything heavy, like the Trangia, I can just stack the pots inside of one another. And that way, morning coffee, I'll have everything right where I need it to be. And I won't have to look around. I'm not really worried about wildlife in this area. Sure, there are bears, black bears, a lot of coyotes, foxes, but honestly, the ones that do the worst damage are the squirrels and the raccoons. The odd skunk, very rare, but usually the raccoons and the squirrels are absolutely the worst. So I'm going to make sure my backpack is inside of the actual tent with me this evening. Boomer can lay on that until he gets cold enough to then come inside of the sleeping bag with me. And that's basically going to be it. So water bottles are heavy enough right now that they're not going to blow away. I'm going to be turning them upside down later on this evening because it is supposed to freeze tonight. And if you turn your bottles upside down, they freeze from the top down. So then when you turn them right side up, the bottom's frozen and the top's not. That way you can still pour the water and still use it. Little winter camping hack there. The methyl hydrate spirits, this is not going to freeze, so I don't need to worry about that. But I do want to do a very thorough once over around the tent just to make sure everything is where I need it to be. That way when it is total darkness, I want to jump in the tent, change my socks, slip into my base layer pants, and crawl inside of that massive down sleeping bag. I don't have to mess around with anything. So I'm just gonna do a once over, make sure everything is where I need it to be, and then I'm gonna kick back and enjoy the stars. Alright guys, it is freezing cold outside, and this is probably the least favorite part of cold weather camping, is getting out of the nice comfortable warm clothing and into the sleeping bag. Boomer is, well, he's pretty comfortable. He's got to move in just a second, but the stars out here are absolutely phenomenal. I got a bunch of photos. I'm going to put them on my Instagram, so if you guys are interested in that, the link is down below in the video description. And it's time to get in and get warm. So I've got to zip that door shut, make sure everything is where I need it, get into my base layers and some nice long socks. So I've got some base layer pants, really nice long thick socks I'm going to be throwing on, and yeah, crawl inside the sleeping bag really quickly and then call it a night basically for the camera. Whew, getting to me. So my gloves, I almost lost them actually. So these are my mechanics gloves. I mentioned this in the last video. They're not crazy thick. I use them more for like woodworking, like cutting firewood, lifting hot pots and whatnot, because they are leather. These actually worked really well this evening. I'm actually quite surprised. I'm not usually a person to wear gloves, so I'm actually really happy with the way these have been turning out. I bought them specifically for cutting firewood and doing small tasks, just because they're thin and they're leather and I have dexterity in my fingers. So those turned out really well. Jacket is killer, loving this. So I'm gonna get this off, put it down on the ground, move Boomer over to the backpack in my jacket for the time being. I'm going to get totally changed in the sleeping bag and probably watch a movie that I have saved on my phone. And I'll catch up with you guys first thing in the morning for coffee. So good night, guys. Good morning, everybody. It is a frosty, beautiful, sunny, and colorful sunrise morning today. So being right next to the ocean, unfortunately, it is a little bit loud this morning. I just had the drone up in the air and I can see all kinds of ocean vessels and boats and things out on the water going back and forth. Quite loud. Being in such an open landscape, that sound just echoes right up over these hills, and it always seems like, maybe, I don't know if I'm going crazy, but if the temperature is colder versus warmer, it almost seems like the sound travels farther when it's colder. Let me know what you guys think on that. But I've camped out in this area many times before, and that sound is just coming right over the hill, right into the tent in the camp area. So a little bit noisy out here, oddly. But it did get quite cold last night. Not as cold as it was forecasted. The tent is covered in frost. It's starting to melt now that that sunlight's hitting it. The inside is dry, of course. The puddles out here and the shrubbery are really crunchy and sparkly. I was up really early this morning with my headlamp walking around, gathering photos just to get that twilight or before sunrise area of exposure, and absolutely beautiful out here. All that has since melted. It didn't get that cold, guys. I want to say maybe -1, maybe -2 Celsius. Not crazy. I actually sweated last night. I had to unzip my sleeping bag. I was so warm in there. Super warm and comfy. Boomer was snuggled up inside my down jacket on top of the backpack next to me. He didn't move all night. He's out here right now basking in the sun somewheres, doing his morning routine. But yeah, excellent morning today. Just did a drone flight, had morning coffee, and sun's coming up, so I'm going to take advantage of this nice warm sunlight after being freezing cold this morning walking around here, and just kind of gather some things up and maybe even start tearing the tent down. Alright guys, so I've got everything gathered up right here, and much like I did in a previous video, I'm going to run you guys through real time how I get everything into my backpack, because people still wonder, how do you fit all of that into a backpack? There's got to be another bag, there's got to be a trick to this. Well, there is a trick. Use your hands, put it in your bag. So for those of you who are actually interested and not trolling, what I've got in here already, just my small stuff. So I've got my bag of coffee, titanium spoon and fork, a little Velcro strap, wooden cutting board, a little bit of dog food in a bag, another pack of miso soup, just the small things. So what I'm going to put on the outside, actually, you know what, we're going to do that after. Let's get the big things in the bag first. So down inside the main compartment, nothing is in there right now. I've got the entire tent right here, 3FUL Tai Chi 2. I'm going to load that in lengthwise. I've got my sleeping pad. This is the Thermarest NeoAir X-Therm in its stuff sack. I'm going to jam that all the way down to the bottom, right next to it. I've already got my water bottles on the outside of my pack. So I've got my Nalgene bottle and my alcohol bottle. I've got my other Nalgene bottle. The reason why they're in there right now is because they're actually snug. After getting the tent and pad in there, it puts a lot of pressure on them so they don't move. They can come out, but it's going to be hard to get them back in. So that's why I like putting them in there first as opposed to afterwards. Now that I've got that in there, this gigantic, monstrous sleeping bag. Now again, I said this was down. This is 800 fill power down, which means it's extremely warm and extremely compressible. So I'm going to squeeze out the air, work in the foot box first. It's important to do the foot box because I want all the air to come out of the head end of the sleeping bag. And I don't use a stuff sack because this will now fill any void in any shape that I need it to. I'm just going to cram it right down in the nooks and crannies, wherever it needs to go. Now that I've got that in the backpack, I can then take the Trangia, making sure the bottom's clean because I don't want to mess up my sleeping bag. Put that on top of the sleeping bag. I can take my CL2 from Claris, my light, jam that in the pack right next to the sleeping bag. I've got a headlamp, I've got my cup, and my gloves that are left over. So I'm going to cinch this shut, and this is a Keb 52 liter pack from Fjallraven, so it's not a huge 70-75 liter pack. If you've got good gear and you've got common sense on how to pack it, you should be able to do this no problem. So I've got the main pack totally figured out there, and keep in mind I have not even utilized the inside of the hood or the outside of the hood. I've got extra room, I might as well. So I'm going to put my headlamp in there, and I'm going to put my cup, now that that's upside down and drained out. This entire pouch is basically empty. Like I said, I've got the cutting board and a couple small things in there, but there is a huge void right there, nothing in there. Put my cup in there, maybe put my gloves in there if I don't want to wear them, zip it up. The only thing that is not in my bag is film production equipment. The camera, the tripod, and my other camera bag, which is sitting over there, which has all my batteries, my lenses, my drone, all of that stuff. So here, the Keb 52 liter pack from Fjallraven, fully packed up and ready to go. So I hope that helps some of you out there. How do I get it in the bag? Cram it in there. If I had a saw or axe, I'd slip it down in the pouch right where the water bottle is. No problem. This pack right now, I don't know, probably coming in at like 30-35 pounds. I never weigh my gear. I just put it on my back and put my left foot in front of my right. So that's all for this video, guys. Boomer's basking in the sunshine here. He's ready to go. You want to come? Do you want to go home? He's ready to go. So I'm going to wrap up this video right now, and thank you for joining me. Drop your questions and comments down below, and be sure to check my other channel where I've been doing sneak peeks and after the trip reports on that channel. So there is a after the trip report that I'm filming currently right now as I leave out of here that you guys can catch up on the other channel. Link in the description down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.